For these types of problems, we're going to find sums and differences with numbers that have decimal values. Remember, a sum is just the answer to an addition problem, and a difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So let's look at some examples. When you're finding sums and differences with numbers that have decimal values, you're going to wind up solving it very similarly to the way that you do without decimal values. But there is one major thing that you have to remember and you have to do in order to get the answer right. And that is that you have to line up the decimal values vertically before you solve the problem. So let's look at number 1 and I'll show you what I mean. So for number 1, we have a horizontal problem and we do not want to solve it that way. We need to take our number and we need to write it vertically. So then we're going to take the other number, 1 7/10, and we are going to line it up where the decimal is in a straight line going down. It is extremely important that you do that because when you're adding, you have to add digits that are in the same place value together. You can't add a digit from the ones place with a digit from the tens place. It will give you the wrong answer. So if you line up the decimals, then you're ensuring that you're also lining up the other places. The tenths are now together, the ones are now together, and the tens and hundreds are alone. Once you've done that, then you can just solve the problem regularly. 0 plus 7 is 7. 3 plus 1 is 4. 0 and 2. But you have to make sure that you also put the decimal in the answer so that you still have the places lined up correctly. So this answer would be 204 and 7/10. So let's try another one. So we're going to rewrite it vertically. So we have 93 and 22 hundredths. And when we add it up, we need to make sure that the decimal is in a straight line with the previous decimal. So 43 would go here and 0 would go here. If you find that the end of your number looks a little strange because it's not even, you can just fill in any gaps with an extra 0. It won't change the value at all. And then you just add. 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. Make sure you bring down your decimal into the answer to keep these in the tenths and hundredths place. Then you have 3 plus 3 is 6, and 9 plus 4 is 13. So your answer would be 136 and 22 hundredths. Notice what happens if you forget your decimal in the answer. You would end up with 13,622, which is a lot different than 136 and 22 hundredths. So to find the differences, you're going to do the same exact thing. You're going to take your problem and you're going to have to line up the decimals. So let's start with number 1, and we have 99 and 90 hundredths. Okay, we're going to write the next number, 86, but we're going to keep in the same place values by lining up the decimal. It doesn't look like this number has a decimal, but it does have that invisible decimal. All numbers have a decimal after the ones place. It's just that if we don't need it, we don't usually write it. But in this case, we do need it to keep it lined up. So 86 is going to go here, and then we're ready to subtract. All right, before you subtract, you must fill in these empty spots with a 0 placeholder. And then you can subtract normally. So 0 minus 0 is 0. 9 minus 0 is 9. 9 minus 6 is 3. And 9 minus 8 is 1. So your answer would be 13 and 90 hundredths. All right, so let's look at number 3. So we have 367 and 6/10. We're going to write the next number, 51 and 8/10, right below it, keeping the decimal place lined up. So the 51 would go here, and the 8/10 would go in the 10th spot. And then we're going to subtract just like regular. Now we're going to talk about BASO because this is a type of problem that requires regrouping. In the ones place, you can't subtract because if you only have 6, you can't take away 1. So we're going to regroup by taking a 10 and adding it back as ones. So it takes 10 ones to make a 10. So we're going to add back 10 ones. So 10 plus the 6 that are already there is 16. So we've borrowed, we've added back, and now we're going to start over. Starting over in the ones place, we have 16 minus 8. And then we're at the decimal, so we're going to go ahead and write the decimal. And now we're in the ones place. So we have 6 minus 1, we can do that. And we have 6 minus 5, we can do that. And we have 3 minus nothing, we can do that. So our answer would be 315 and 8/10. If you do not keep your decimals lined up as you solve these problems, you will get them wrong. Keeping the decimal lined up ensures that you keep the other places lined up as well. The other thing you need to always remember is if you end up having some gaps at the end of your number, just fill those gaps in with zeros to make them even and easy to solve. All right, now you try some on your own. Good luck.